I remember one time in particular, um, I was washing the dishes. It was in the middle of the day, so it was probably after lunch. And all was fine. It's just going about my normal day, whatever. And then all of a sudden, pop, there I was, popped back to the back of my head. And suddenly watching myself wash the dishes as if that wasn't me doing it. As if I was watching that two-dimensional screen and the movements and just all the stuff doing all of it exactly as it needed to be done, but it was just happening and I was observing it, even though I was also doing it. And then just feeling this disconnect, this fear, this feeling of aloneness, this feeling of emptiness, like there was something missing and I longed for it so deeply and so badly. And all the while, and these thoughts are coming up as I'm there washing the dishes, doing what I needed to do at that time, but the conscious awareness part of me, was thinking about this stuff and just spiraling even. I started to, the thought came, I want my mommy. And she lived in the United States at the time, and I was living in Brazil. And she was just so far. And I just had this stupidly strong feeling of like, wow, I just want my mommy. I want to be held by my mommy. And at the same time, I got this feeling that it doesn't matter. Even if I could go back and be held by my mommy and get that love and that affection from her, it wouldn't matter, because this hole that I felt, this emptiness, this deep sadness, this deep longing that I was feeling in this moment that felt like I needed to be loved and held, it still didn't feel like it wouldn't make a difference. It wouldn't make a difference. It wouldn't fill that hole. It wouldn't make it better. It wouldn't do anything to make it go away. And I felt this strong feeling of, oh my God, this emptiness is never going to go away. I am always going to feel this. It felt like it didn't matter. There was nothing that I could ever do. No love and affection, no holding from another human being. There was nothing that could make this feeling ever feel better. And in that moment, I felt the deepest longing for annihilation. If I will always feel this way, I do not even want to exist anymore. And in this space, I understood where people come from when they commit suicide. However, in my case, the feeling went beyond that, because, it was interesting to see this, because it made me see how I do truly believe in everything that I say I believe in. All of these concepts, I do truly believe that they are true, because in that moment, the thought was, it doesn't matter if I died, I will keep on existing. And this emptiness is never going to go away. Death will not make it better, because I will still exist. No matter what I do, I can never make this emptiness go away, because I cannot make myself stop existing. that was so painful. That was such a deep and difficult realization to have in that moment, this feeling, or the feeling to go into. And I finished, I think, by the time I was thinking of these things, or I finished up my dishes that I was doing, whether if I was done with them or not, I don't remember, such a long time ago. And I went into the living room and I sat on the floor in front of the couch. I hugged my legs to my chest and just closed my eyes because I was completely immersed in these feelings of desperation, of a horrible, sad, deep despair, because this emptiness that I felt like it didn't matter what I did, not even death would make it feel better, that I was doomed forever to feel this way. And in this moment of the unreality, the separation from myself, making it feel even worse, I just sat there, curled up. I don't even think that I was able to cry. I may have. I don't really remember. I just know that I was curled up on the floor for a good while, maybe a half an hour, maybe an hour, I don't know, before this feeling of unreality and this feeling of deep despair finally started to dissipate. Oh man, that was hard. That was so difficult. And to come back into me, into my life after that, it was a little difficult and shaky, to say the least. But what else could I do? I kind of went about my business. Once the unreality subsided, it wasn't so bad anymore. However, it was definitely a feeling that stuck around. Now, the thing about this feeling is that it no longer exists within me. The reason why that existed in the first place was because the emptiness that I was feeling was me not being in touch with me, was me rejecting and cutting off a part of myself. It was me separating myself from aspects of me to such an extent that I couldn't even feel them. That was the emptiness. That is the emptiness. That is this feeling of despair. It's not actually hopeless. It's not actually something that can never be, it's not something that has to always be felt. It's not something that can never be made better. It's not about fixing it, you see. The thing about that feeling of emptiness is that it can never be filled from the outside. There is not anybody in the world outside of you that can ever fill that empty space. That empty space is wholly and completely you. My space was me. I needed to find and embrace and reintegrate pieces, parts, whole parts of myself that I had rejected, that I had cut myself off from. As I have done the shadow work and learned how to integrate parts of me that I had previously rejected. I have become more and more whole, and I no longer feel these empty spaces in the areas where I have come to a greater place of integration. I can't, it's a complex thing. We human beings, and the work of integration, of becoming more whole, of accepting yourself, of working through all of this stuff. There is a lot there. So it's not something that one day in this lifetime you're going to get to and go, "Oh, I'm whole. Yay, the end. Okay, happily ever after." That's not what it's about, and that's not what I'm saying. It's just that as you work on each little thing, you become a little more whole. You become a little more integrated. You become a little more you. And that begins to fill that empty space. When you no longer reject an aspect of yourself, you no longer need to seek it from the outside in ways that are never going to fulfill it. It's amazing. I can't even express how much this has changed for me and how much better I feel, how much more whole I feel. And even with the work that is still to be done, because it keeps on coming on all, deeper layers come up, deeper places of us that need to be healed, more subtle ways in which we reject ourselves and need to be made whole. It's always coming up. And yes, the work is never done because also life continues. So we find new things that we need to work on, new ways in which we need to be able to hold the space for who we are and continue to learn to always be even more ourselves. But that emptiness that I felt that day no longer exists within me. It's fabulous. It's amazing. And it's all I can say to say, there is always hope. It's just about learning to be you, learning to stop trying to be not you. And it's something that we can all do. It's something we can all learn to integrate in ourselves. The trick, the secret, really, is quite simple. It is about simply learning how to hold space for all that you feel. It's not easy when you're first beginning, but it's the sort of thing that gets easier and easier with time. The more that you can cultivate the ability to feel everything. In the beginning, it'll not necessarily be in the moment, but as you practice it, it's more and more in the moment. And the more you can do that, the more whole you're able to become, because then you can hold space for anything. You can hold space for all of the parts of yourself so that you can learn to accept them. You can learn to not reject them. That is the secret.